Last week, I played 5 matches in a row against professionally ranked opponents. This was during the UK Pro League event. It's an event that runs over an entire week where everybody gets 5 matches. It's hosted players such as Emma Raducanu and Liam Brody, who are both at the top of the tennis world. The winner of the event receives over £3,000 prize money, which is more than winning a $25,000 futures tournament. It's a series of 7 events that runs throughout the year with the grand finals at the end. So let's take a look at how I did in the event and what lessons I learned playing against so many players, which can help me to get my first ATP point. In the group stage, I played 2 opponents. The top 2 from each group go through to the quarterfinal stage. The first match I showed in last week's video against the world number 397, Billy Harris. The key lesson I learned from this match was that my serve needs to be a lot more consistent to put my opponent under pressure throughout the whole match, so not just during one service game, but throughout the whole match consistently, and also need to work on my speed and accuracy of the serve to win more free points against a high-level opponent. I also feel I need to work on my speed and footwork to be able to deal with a heavier, faster ball, especially on quick indoor courts like this. And the last point being, I only had 1 break point chance in the whole match. So when you play players like this, I need to be more aware of my chances, as taking that 1 break could have made a huge difference in that set, and eventually me not taking that break cost me a chance to win the match. My second match in the box was against Xin Zhao, a ATP ranked doubles player and an ITF world ranked singles player. It was a great match that I managed to win 10-4 in the champs tiebreak. The match had a super tight first set with both of us serving and returning pretty well. The second set in the tiebreak, I began to play a little looser and I began to swing a little bit more at the ball. And the lesson learned here was that I should trust my shots a little bit more from the beginning and really feel like I'm just going for it straight from the first point, because I feel that that's where I generally play my best tennis. This means I got through to the quarterfinal stage as I came in second in the group. And that means that I've already got £700 prize money guaranteed, my first prize money of the season. Quickly, over 70% of you haven't subscribed that watched our last video. I know I keep banging on about it, but it takes 5 seconds and it's the best way that you can help support the channel to make future Road to 1 ATP point videos. So if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. So the night before the match, I had pasta and chicken for dinner, keeping it nice and light, and I went to bed super early for the big day the next day. My opponent was Mason Recchi, an ATP ranked player in singles and doubles, another tough test of my level to see where I'm at. Straight away in this match, I was amazed by his backhand accuracy. The ability to put the ball bang in the corner made it super difficult for me to find a way of winning any points, especially with my backhand being the side that I struggle with defensively. He kept the ball super low and made it really difficult for me to be able to change the direction and go line over the highest part of the net. That's something I also struggle with. And he was very, very patient as well, and that's something I need to work on, is the fact that I'm sometimes a little bit too impatient. And against these good level players, they're going to be able to consistently hit a high quality ball, and if I can maintain a good quality rally ball for a little bit longer during these points, I could have maybe forced a few more errors out of him. Eventually in this match, I did end up losing, but that's how it goes. Sometimes you play a good match, sometimes you play a bad match, and not every single match throughout this journey is going to get better. Otherwise, you know, I'd be playing in Wimbledon next year, which isn't going to happen. But it's more about what you learn from these matches and what you can take away to help you keep improving and keep improving your base level for the matches to come in the future and to give you experience. Now, the final two matches are in the knockouts. You go through to play from 5th to 8th position, which does make a difference to the prize money you earn. Now, unfortunately, during the 4th match, I got injured in my elbow. So I began to have some elbow pain, especially when I was serving, when I was hitting the forehand. I was forced to retire, mainly because I didn't want it to be something that hindered me over the coming weeks, because I didn't think it was worth playing that one match to then sacrificed the upcoming weeks. I then had a full assessment from the physios on site, who did an amazing job, and I did a really thorough job at testing all of the range of motion in my elbow, all of the different planes of motion. They determined that it was mostly fatigue through the elbow, just a lot of weeks of serving, especially with the new balls, and also a slightly pinched nerve when I was fully extending my arm under the tricep. That meant that I obviously was playing for 7th and 8th position, and the next day I came back to the venue as I had a day off. So this was some time to maybe tape my arm, see how it was when I was playing, and get a feeling of whether I was able to play my last match. I really did want to play, as every match was an amazing experience. So I had a hit, tested out some serves, tested out some forehands and backhands with new balls, just to see how it was with and without some tape on my arm. I think this leads perfectly on to the biggest lesson I learned throughout this whole week, which was that I not only have to improve the physicality and speed and endurance actually on the court, but I also need to improve in terms of my stamina and my body's ability to play day in, day out without getting injured. So being flexible, making sure that I'm managing my fatigue, recovering properly. That's something I really need to work on, is making my body more resilient and able to play more days in a row, because essentially once you're playing tournaments week in, week out, that's something that's going to be super valuable. So on the last day, I decided to play my last match, and I had a hit with Billy Harris, who was actually warming up for his final, and during that I had my arm pretty heavily strapped up, which you can see on the screen right now. I was basically just trying to find a way of feeding the ball and getting used to that strapping on my arm. It was super tight, so I could barely even move it, so it wasn't really ideal, but I wanted to give it my best shot and I didn't want to give up. Here are some of the highlights. I did end up losing the match, unfortunately. My opponent played too good on the day, but also my two biggest strengths were taken away from me, my serve and my forehand. I talked to my coach after the match, and he was kind of saying that when you are sometimes having an injury or a pain, you have to find a way to deal with it, because a lot of the time you're going to be in a futures tournament or in a professional match, and you can't just give up because you have something on the line, or you're playing for your first ATP point, whatever it is. Being able to deal with that is super important. So we talked after the match and talk through a few things that I could have done better in terms of dealing with my forehand. For example, trying to close the net a little bit more, chip and charge, play a high slice and then run into the net. Shots that didn't require me to put as much strain on my arm, and maybe find different ways of trying to win the match and being super mentally strong even when having a disadvantage against you. So that was my UK Pro League experience. Overall, I had a great time, and I learned a lot of key lessons that you saw in this video that I can take away for the upcoming tournaments to come. The next few weeks are super exciting. I'm planning to go to Moratoglu Tennis Academy. I'm planning to play futures tournaments abroad, so make sure you subscribe because so many awesome things are to come on this channel and you don't want to miss them. I'll see you guys in the next video.